guys, this is our final chapter. We're going to talk about managing your mental and physical health. And really, what that means is we're going to talk about managing your stress. Um, I know this is an interesting time, and I know for myself personally, my anxiety has been through the roof. Some days I'm good, some days I'm thinking that the world is on fire because it kind of feels that way. So, I cannot address all of that in this slide. I will show you some resources, but we are going to talk about managing our typical stress when we are not in the middle of a pandemic and we are able to take the classes we need in person if we need them. So this is both timely, but probably not going to address everything that we are all collectively going through at the moment. But let's talk about some basics, right? So mental illnesses, some of these can be depression, loneliness, eating disorders, anxiety disorders, suicidal behavior. This, of course, is a very small list. This is not a comprehensive list. These are the ones that studies show are the most common among college students. Um, we are going to talk about managing some of the symptoms maybe and managing the stress. Once it gets to the point, if you already have a diagnosed illness or if you suspect that you do, this is where we refer you, and I will show you some resources in this slide where you can get help for that, because that's going to be outside the scope of what I can do for you in a classroom. And I'm not just talking about medication. I'm talking about you might need some more personalized or deeper coping strategies than what we can cover in one lecture. Strategies to support your mental health, and support is the key word there. It is not to fix you, it is not to make you better, it is to help manage our symptoms, help manage and support what we're going through. Some of these, we hear these regularly, and I know I've heard them too. Of course, eating a balanced diet affects how you physically feel, which is going to affect how you mentally feel. So try to keep that balanced diet. Try to get enough sleep, not too much, not too little. What works for you so that you can be productive. Regular physical activity, and this does not mean that you need to regularly run a marathon. This means take a walk. Especially right now when there's so much limited that we can do whatever you can do to take a walk. If you have access, when it's safe again, go swimming. Anything that just is for you, right? It doesn't have to be something super heavy. It just has to get you moving. Staying socially connected with friends and family, whatever that looks like for you. Whether right now we're doing Zoom, Google Meets, things like that, phone calls. When it's able to visit again, going and seeing people and building that in. When we talk about a study plan, self-care should be in there. So if there's somebody that you want to talk to regularly, make sure you build in time for that. You don't have to exclude them. You just have to find that balance. Of course, make smart choices about alcohol and drugs. You're not going to find a lot of cases out there that are going to be pro alcohol and drugs to help you get through school, not in a mentally healthy way. The ones that you'll hear about it and you'll see are things that just drain you as a person, as a student, and they're honestly they're bad choices. There's no way to make that work for your life. I'm not talking about a drink here or there. I'm talking about heavy alcohol use, heavy drug use. All of those are going to just deteriorate you mentally. And then, of course, getting help if you're anxious and depressed, and we'll have a slide for that because we've talked about this in the test prep. There is what typically that looks like, and there's ways to cope and manage that. And then there are disorders that get outside of what we can cope and manage, and that's when we need to get to help. And sometimes we need that help regularly, and sometimes we just need that help when we feel like we're in crisis mode, and both of those are okay options, and you just need to get that help and know where to get it. So when it's more than stress, like I said, more than what we can handle in the classroom, there are definitely places for you to go. So you will see we have a link for you. You can talk to one of our licensed counselors, and that is a free service for you through ACC. If you feel like that's not the right call, there's different prevention lines. My recommendation right now for you is to take a picture of this slide with your phone. This is what I have you do in class. And the reason I have it is because right now you might look at it and be like, oh, that's cool. And then maybe next semester or a year from now, you might need one of these numbers. Maybe you need it for you, maybe you need it for a friend. So just take a picture and have it available to you. I have this image in here because this is a YouTube video. I believe if you open up the slide, you can click on it. This is also embedded in our textbook. I was really excited to see that they used it. This woman is I just blanked on what she does. I think a psychologist, but she talks about how she used to teach people and her clients that stress is bad for you. But she recently was part of some studies where they learned that people are more negatively affected when they think stress is bad for them than if they think stress is good for them. And we talk about how that adrenaline, you can turn that into energy, you can turn that into a motivation instead of turning it into anxiety and debilitating you. And so it's a really interesting YouTube video for you to watch, and it's just stress in general and how our body reacts to it and what our body is telling us about stress. So please view that. Signs and effects of stress can be everything. All of these on here, everything from anger. I get real short-tempered when I'm stressed, definitely. Having trouble sleeping. It can change, increase, decrease your appetite. All of these things can affect stress, and these are important that we pay attention to. This is our body telling us that we are not managing our stress, and that we need to do something. That's the first sign, is our body saying, whoa, I'm not sleeping and I don't feel like eating, something is wrong. And then we go into our self-regulation strategies. What's going on with us? Is there a personal issue we need to manage? Are we not effectively using our balance, and we're studying, but we've cut all of our self-care out? What's going on, and how can you work through it? Of course, avoid drugs and alcohol. Like I said, there's no good path to abusing drugs and alcohol. Again, if you're 21, because I have to say that, a beer here or there, a glass of wine with dinner is not what I'm talking about. I know for me that having a glass of wine with dinner here or there is actually one of the ways I manage stress. Now, having a bottle of wine with dinner is a bad call, and that's not going to be helpful. So we're talking about being responsible, everything in moderation with it. Managing your time, of course, building in that study, that's the easiest way to keep that stress level down because you have those things built in. Remember when we go back to the Covey quadrant and we have the things that are in crisis, but if I've been studying regularly for my exam and I have a crisis that hits a day or two before the exam that I have to deal with and I don't have time to study, I'm going to feel more confident about the exam because maybe I'm not I didn't study as much as I wanted, and maybe I don't have all the knowledge that I wanted, but I can probably get a passing score because of all the time I've built in before, because I've had to just manage that crisis, and that sometimes you have that. I know for me also, when I would write a paper, I was in school with a baby, toddler and younger. And so I would write my papers early because she's a ticking time bomb. I never knew when she was going to throw a fever at me or be teething, or something was going to go happen that was going to take up my night. So I wrote my papers early because I'd rather turn in a terrible draft and get a grade than get the 0. Find support, whether your support is a professor or a tutor that can help you. Your support can just be that person that you can call and vent to, and maybe that's what you need. It's just somebody to get it all out with and talk a little smack for a little bit so you can go back to concentrating. Find that support. What does it look like for you? We talked about connecting socially. In that video before, she talked about people had lower stress levels when they were involved, when they had other people that they were caring for and working with. Slow down and cut out those distractions. So if your phone is a source of stress because you're constantly watching notifications or text messages, turn it off. Turn it off so that you can focus on what you need to. Any of those kinds of things, and then slowing down. Sometimes we get too many things on our plate and we just try to rush through all of them, and that just increases the stress. And then, of course, take care of your health, and that's going to be different from all of you. Everything from that diet. If you have something that you're managing, making sure you're staying on, whatever meds or whatever things that your doctor recommends, it's going to help you feel better and feel healthy. For wellness, I'm putting this up here one more time. This is another click, a way to contact our clinical counseling services. And then, of course, here is our helpline and 911. You'll need those, but hopefully you don't need those. But I just wanted you to have this link twice. If it feels unmanageable, if it feels overwhelming, please, please, please talk to them. We have them because mental health is a huge issue across the nation for students in higher education. The stress, the depression, all these things affect students differently. A lot of you have had a little bit of a culture shock in transitioning from either being in the workforce or coming straight out of high school. And it's a lot, it's overwhelming. And you're definitely not the only one that feels that way. And we know this because we have a whole counseling service for this. That means there was a huge need for it. So please don't be afraid to use this resource. The rest of the slide is going to talk about things that I feel like are a little repetitive for us once we get into college. So they're good reminders. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Eating healthy. There's tons of things that you can do. You can meal prep. There's so many apps and so many online resources that can help you with that. If you can afford it, you can have the food shipped to you that you just have to like throw it in the microwave and it's like healthy, fresh food. That might be an option. They're not supposed to be too expensive. Any of those things, whatever you can do. Of course, ACC is covered in vending machines, but try to avoid vending machines. Try to eat regular times. I know this gets a lot of students. You skip all day eating and then you are just famished and then you're eating just whatever you can get your hands on. And usually what's quick and easy is junk. So be really careful with that. Again, exercise is just moving. It's good for our heart. It's good for our body. It's also good for your mental health. I usually try to go either work out on my lunch break or at least take a break and take a walk during the workday when I'm super stressed because it gives my mind a chance to click off and to take a break as well. And then, of course, moving around can help you. All of the things that are listed on this slide is going to help you pick the exercise that works for you that you're going to stick with. Sleep is important and it's a hard call. A lot of you I know were working, which kind of messes with our sleep schedule. So this is what we should aim for. Too little sleep will affect your memory and your body. Too much sleep can do the same. But sleep deprivation is really what's the most dangerous for all of us. Again, substance abuse. We know why people do drugs. Here are some reasons. A lot of times it's to maybe hide pain, hide stress, any of that. There's just not a good way to do any of it other than just to avoid it. Things that it affects. Here's a treatment hotline that I want to make sure you know in case you need it. Maybe you need it for a friend. That's okay. Again, not going to spend a lot of time on here. Sexual health. It's important how it affects our body, the decisions that we make. These are obviously things that are concerns. I think a lot of us have seen this in either a high school health course, in the news. There's tons of online resources. I don't think these things are as obscure as they used to be, but there's definitely things we should be thinking about when we're talking about taking care of ourselves and taking care of our body. Here's another resource. Also, when we're back up and running again, Student Life does regular STD testing where they will bring a company out to different campuses. So you can keep an eye out for that. You can get tested there. Always check on there because these things, you're wondering, why do I need to know this? This is an academic course. Your personal life doesn't leave the classroom just because you walk in. We do what we can to focus on it. But if we're worried about something like this, it's going to come into that exam with you. So whatever you can do to take care of yourself outside of class is just going to help you academically because it's a whole person kind of thinking, right? And then this is a link for you for anybody. Let's see if it lets me click on it. For our Title IX office, this is anybody that is feeling harassed, anybody who is concerned about sexual assault, sexual aggression. These are all the rights. Normally I have them come out and speak to you guys, but unfortunately with the change I couldn't make that happen. But it's a list of all of your websites, all of your resources, who you can email if you think you're being stalked, you think you're being sexually harassed, racially harassed, any of that, and they will take it from there. Also a link to our district police. That's for if you just saw a crime or if you're just worried that you know somebody said I'm going to break into a car later. Any of that you can report. So these are excellent resources that you can click into to help with all of these issues, because part of stress management is not just managing one thing at a time. It's managing everything that's going on in your life. And we understand that you're not just a student. You're also your person. You might be a parent. You're an employee. You're all these different things. And all of those are going to come into play. So these are all the resources we have for you to make sure you can connect with who you need to. Don't be worried about using them. That's why they're here. And again, we have resources because there was a need created first, which means you're not alone. So if you feel like something's going on, please email. Charlene Buckley is wonderful. I wish I could have had her come talk to you guys. You can use our SAFE's website, not ours, but this is connected to an organization called SAFE. Again, the counseling offices, all of these are there for you. So please use them. All right. And that's all I have for you, stress management. Other than that is a slippery journey, and it's something we always have to be aware of. And so I hope this helps. Thanks, guys.